2026 Jerez MotoGP Private Test. Toprak heads to Spain for MotoGP test with Michelin and Pirelli tires. '26 Jerez MotoGP Private Test. Toprak heads to Spain for MotoGP test with Michelin and Pirelli tires. Yamaha, KTM, and Aprilia gathered in Jerez for a private MotoGP test featuring Michelin and Pirelli tires, with Toprak Razgatlioglu also participating. Toprak Razgatlioglu will gain additional MotoGP experience this week as Yamaha, KTM, and Aprilia gather in Jerez for a two-day private test. Interestingly, the test, scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday in Jerez, is scheduled to use Michelin and Pirelli tires. This opens up the possibility of developments for both the current 1000cc MotoGP bike and the future 850cc bike. Yamaha, KTM, and Aprilia will be present at the test, with test riders Andrea Dovizioso, Pol Espargaro, and Lorenzo Savadori each confirming their presence at Jerez via social media. A video from Savadori shows the long, slim exhaust on the RSGP. KTM became the first MotoGP manufacturer to publicly test an 850cc bike at Jerez in December, with Pol Espargaro and Dani Pedrosa. Furthermore, Mika Kallio reportedly did some laps with the prototype at the Sepang test. Honda and Yamaha are also believed to have completed some early 850cc testing behind closed doors, while Aprilia and Ducati are targeting a spring debut. Yamaha's concession status allows them to field a full-time rider for private testing, and Razgatlioglu appears likely to join, having announced that he is traveling from Turkey to Spain. The reigning World SBK champion finished 20th and 17th in the season-opening race in Thailand, but set a pace comparable to the other Yamaha V4 riders who struggled throughout the middle of the Grand Prix. This will be his first opportunity to ride a MotoGP bike on Pirelli, the tires that have brought him so much success in World SBK. It remains unclear whether Pramac teammate Jack Miller or Yamaha factory riders Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins will be present. Similarly, Ducati test rider Michel Pirot is also present in riding the 2027 bike. And Honda test rider Alex Espargaro will also be present. The second round of the 2026 MotoGP World Championship takes place in Goiânia, Brazil, from March 20 to 22. The season doesn't enter its European leg until the fourth round in Qatar, although that event in the Middle East is now in doubt. Meanwhile, Jerez is scheduled to host the opening European race weekend of the year, from April 24 to 26. Pedro Acosta's racing style, said to be similar to Valentino Rossi, ready to beat Marquez, 2026 MotoGP champion. Neil Hodgson was amazed by the quality of Red Bull KTM rider Pedro Acosta. He believes Pedro Acosta shares a similar riding style to seven-time Premier Class champion Valentino Rossi. Pedro Acosta's brilliant performance in the 2026 MotoGP opening race. Besides Ducati, Aprilia Racing is being touted as a team with a chance to win the 2026 MotoGP. However, Pedro Acosta has shown he can compete, despite not riding for a satellite team as prestigious as Ducati and Aprilia. In the opening race of the 2026 MotoGP, which took place at the Buriram circuit, Thailand, Pedro Acosta put on a brilliant performance. In the final sprint session of the 2026 Thailand MotoGP, Pedro Acosta finished top, after a fierce duel with Marc Marquez, Ducati Lenovo. Then, in the main race of the 2026 Thailand MotoGP, Pedro Acosta finished second behind Marco Bezzecchi, Aprilia Racing. As a result, Pedro Acosta temporarily tops the 2026 Thailand MotoGP standings with 32 points, 7 points ahead of Marco Bezzecchi in second place. He's tied with Valentino Rossi. Neil Hodgson is amazed that Pedro Acosta hasn't crashed at all in the 2026 Thailand MotoGP. If he can maintain this consistent result, Pedro Acosta is a strong contender for the 2026 Thailand MotoGP Championship. Pedro Acosta hasn't had a single crash this year. I certainly don't want to jinx it, but that's the magic of racing, feeling the front tire, or rather, feeling its limits, said Neil Hodgson. Watching Pedro Acosta yesterday, you could clearly see he's capable of doing that. People often ask me, what makes Valentino Rossi so great? And I say, it's the feeling he has with the front tire. He's truly capable of living on the limit. He can do 25 laps right on the limit, Neil Hodgson stated. Next, Pedro Acosta and the other riders will compete in the second race of the 2026 MotoGP. The second race, titled MotoGP Brazil 2026, will be held on Monday, March 23, 2026, in the early hours of Western Indonesian time. MotoGP Brazil 2026. Marc Marquez provides an update on his contract with Ducati. We agree on most points. Marc Marquez confirmed that most elements of the new Ducati MotoGP contract have been agreed. This is the only MotoGP deal that everyone has been waiting for since last season, but so far has not materialized. While names like Pedro Acosta, Francesco Bagnaia, and Fabio Quartararo have fueled speculation of rider transfers for 2027, reigning champion Marc Marquez appears set to remain with his team for the first time since leaving Repsol Honda. Following the spectacular success of his debut season with Ducati Lenovo, in which he claimed a long-awaited 9th world title, it would be a major surprise if Marquez did not renew his contract with the Italian manufacturer for 2027. However, uncertainty surrounding Marquez's recovery from a shoulder injury, which kept him out of MotoGP from October to February, this prompted the Spaniard to request a delay in the discussions. However, most points have been agreed upon, although Marquez did not specify the remaining aspects that need to be resolved. Regarding the contract, Ducati and I agree on most points, Marquez told MotoGP.com after returning to Europe from the season-opening race in Buriram. But as I said in the Thailand GP press conference, I asked Ducati to wait a bit to enjoy the moment. Because I was injured when we started talking about the future. And first of all, I wanted to feel comfortable on the bike, and then, of course, sign the contract. Despite not being able to repeat last year's Buriram dominance, Marquez was once again the best Ducati rider in Thailand, fighting for the sprint victory, then having a chance to reach the Grand Prix podium until suffering a damaged wheel rim. I'm looking forward to the next race because in Thailand we struggled a bit, but we were still fighting for the podium. So this is good news, said Marquez. Now I have 2 weeks ahead of me to improve my physical condition, with my shoulder. Let's see if I can. But yes, I'm starting to feel in good shape to fight in the race. Marquez will head into the second round, the first event in Goiânia, Brazil, 23 points behind current championship leader and potential 2027 teammate, Acosta.